Hello and what? That's a good noise. Hello and welcome to Up at Noon, IGN's weekly comedy variety show. I'm your host, Brian Altano. With me is Max Scoville. It has been a week, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna have a good time out here today. We're gonna have some good fun. You know what I'm talking about?
It has certainly been a week. It's been a weird summer. I think time passes in a strange way. But we were super duper busy last week with Comic-Con at home, which was a whole big thing. We were very closely involved with, and
which it literally wrapped on Sunday afternoon for context. So if we're a little rough around the edges, or a little salt in the Brillo pad, I think that's you can trace it back to that, because it's been. Is
that your?
Why do I get a goddamn delivery every time I start a show?
All right, you can get that. I'll talk about I don't know, Spawn or something. Anyway, hello and welcome to the show. We basically were like, what if we worked all weekend, can we take a day off, can we take a break? And then we were like, let's just do Up at Noon, and then a bunch of other things fell on our lap. Brian just got done doing like a 5-hour Animal Crossing charity live stream. I don't know if any of you caught that, but that's good that's happening. But we might just be kind of a little bit laid back. However, we do have something very cool to show off that I feel like makes up for all of the other corners of the show that are going to be kind of half-assed, which is the Lego Nintendo Entertainment System. Brian, you've been up since all hours, and we're up late last night building this thing, but it's worth it.
Yeah. For context, this is really weird, because a couple weeks ago we found out about this for the very first time, and I'm a big fan of that sort of release schedule, and I think Lego's pretty good at that. In fact, video game companies, you could learn a thing or two for that. So we just found out about the Lego NES. It's the original Nintendo Entertainment System with a old-fashioned TV. I got my sort of review unit in yesterday around 4 p.m. And this is a pretty extensive build. This is my time-lapse shot right here. I immediately set up shop and started putting it together. I would say it probably took me about 6-7 hours total, minus the occasional hiccups that happen when you're building Lego and you put something in the wrong direction.
You were doing a speed run, like you were actually trying to get this done in time for this show and to get a video cut and stuff.
Yeah, and so this is a fantastic set. It goes for $229.99. It's out August 1st. It's 2,646 pieces. And so, yes, that's definitely expensive. And yes, that is twice the price of a used working original NES on eBay. You could literally buy one for, each 2 different rooms in your home. But this thing is so cool. It is such a sort of convergence of 2 things I really, really love, things I really, really grew up with. The original Nintendo Entertainment System design is like one of the most iconic things of all time for me. And obviously, like, Max, you and I have grown with Lego in the same way we've grown with Nintendo and video games in general. Having seen Lego be this thing that was sort of this, it didn't really have a theme or anything like that. It was sort of
it's weird, because we've watched like Lego make video games. We haven't watched the other way around. We haven't seen really video games become Lego stuff. And now, so seeing this is just, and also like we've got those Mario Lego, which are totally made for little kids, which is fine. Yeah. But as far as that like weird nostalgia stuff, I think a lot of us were like let down. I feel like this more than makes up for it.
Yeah.
This is such, like you sent me videos like first thing this morning of this, and I was just like my jaw dropped. The fact that this does as much as it does and is just so faithful. Like the TV, I think the TV really sells it, and it makes me just want like more, not just gaming stuff, but just weird old electronics in this style.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. It plays Mario.
Yeah, it plays Mario. And so, I mean, right? Like it's playable. And somebody joked that this is what probably the 15th time I've bought Super Mario Brothers. So, I think you're totally right. Like I would love to see them sort of dip their talents into old school 80s, 90s electronics. Like I would love to see them do a Game Boy, a Super Nintendo.
So let's back it up. Let's talk about this right here, because there's a whole secret Easter egg that you spoil completely with this video.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is really cool.
Yeah. So if you were planning on buying the Lego NES, I'm going to spoil something for you, and otherwise just look away. It's not a big deal. But so this is the actual unit itself. As you can see, it's got a pretty good heft to it. It feels pretty weighty. Like it's honestly feels about as heavy as the original one does. It's definitely smaller. I would say it's about 25 to 30% smaller than the original one. Like it's shrunk down a bit. And the reason I bring that up is because the scale varies across some of the other properties that are involved in this set. And so when you buy the set, you're basically getting an NES, a controller, a cartridge, and a working television. But this is a thing that I really, really like. Okay, so here is a panel that they hid in the front. And so when I was building this thing, I didn't really know what I was doing because I started adding all these colored pieces. And if you know, you've built, like, Max, you and I built the Lego Batmobile together. It's mostly black pieces, but on the insides they hide a lot of colors to kind of keep you invested and keep you interested.
I think it's to keep you sane.
Yes,
because otherwise
absolutely.
You're just like picking through grains of sand on a beach. But
yes, which I feel like they didn't do with the 2015 Lego Millennium Falcon that I built. And so I started finding these weird teal and green colors, and I was like, "What is this?" And it's World 1-2 from the original Super Mario Brothers, complete with a tiny sprite Mario or a Goomba, maybe. I'm not sure what that is exactly. But yeah, you have the stairwell that goes up. The orange represents the platforms that go up and down, the girders. And down here is the blue, which is always a turtle right underneath. You keep going. That's the warp pipe that will let you leave the level. But if you go up and over, you can get to the warp zone, which will bring you to later in the game. This is just tucked away right here. You would never know it looking at this thing. It's just,
I mean, they put a hidden warp zone in the Lego set. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
like that. They put a hidden part of the level in, like, that's God, I love that.
They built a Lego NES with a secret level, and there's also the RF adapter switch on the side, which is super cute because, as you know, like, Lego has a sort of a rule set, right, in terms of like what they can work with. And so those are just some basic studs, and they're reversed, and they've got a couple of gray studs behind them. But here's the thing I really like about this kit, Max, that I think you'll appreciate. There are 3 stickers in this entire set. 3. And so all the rest are custom bricks that are printed. 2 of those stickers went right here on the Mario cartridge, which is super awesome. I've like dabbled in a lot of like Lego stuff, and I get kind of like put away when you open it up and there's like a big sticker sheet in there, because it feels, it's kind of like missing the point.
It's a kind of bittersweet thing, because I think we came into Lego at like a point where they were like much more, like, they were cool about printing like custom pieces, but the whole point with Lego is it's supposed to be modular. Therefore, if you have a piece that is like, this is the left side of a race car, you can't use it for too much. You've got to make, so to put a little sticker on there isn't the end of the world, but that's really cool. What is that?
There was that weird little port that it had when we were kids that, like, I never knew what it did or why it was there, but it was there.
Literally, what is that? What is that for?
I don't know. Somebody in the comments let us know. Another thing, this build was like really, really fun. And there was a couple parts that were like that, kind of dragged a little bit for me. But you and I built the Lego Batmobile, the what was 1999 one recently, and that was that had a lot of really fun stuff in it, but it also had a lot of stuff that felt a little bit more sort of like a Technics set. It also got pretty samey, I think, by the nature of being symmetrical.
That had like, it had steering, and it had like pop up something, like it had it as far as what the Technics stuff did in there, I felt like it was very like, it was pretty rudimentary. Like, it was like, this makes the door open, and it's like, okay, that's cool, but it's just a car. Like, I feel like this has, you turn a crank and it plays Mario, or it actually does the thing where you, like, in your video where you're showing this off, the fact that you had to do the thing where you had to push it down a second time because it didn't click in there right the first time. I was like,
like that, it actually, you can actually put a cartridge in there, and then
it sounds like an NES.
It does, and you push it down and it pops right up. And it makes me think like, oh, now I want like a Lego Game Genie to stick on top, like, or I want people to find this exact format and print stickers, and I want like a whole collection of NES cards.
I want Mega Blocks to make Sega Blocks.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm sure they will. The controller is basically 1-to-1, which is weird. I held this up to my NES Classic controller along with the Switch Joy-Con controllers, and it's totally 1-to-1. The buttons are a little big. They don't click or anything, which is kind of a bummer. But the controller port right here does plug into the front of the system, which is super cool. It only comes with 1 controller, but I don't think you need more than that because it's Super Mario Brothers or Switch.
No, I would say no. That's I would imagine the buttons click, but they only click once, right?
Yeah.
Like you can pretend you're pushing them, but it's like your brother spilled juice in the controller, and now the buttons stay stuck down.
Yeah. And so lastly, the TV itself, like, it could have been its own set. Like it's honestly incredible. And so you have this sort of panel display in here with Super Mario on it. You have this knob that they put basically like a rubber piece in the back.
Good.
Yeah, right. It even does that click. The antenna on the back tucks in, and it feels like a real TV. It like actually clips to the back, and it's got this like sort of old. This is the third sticker, and the only other sticker in the entire thing has this weird label on it that I'm not sure like what the history is behind that specifically. But once again, like the RF stuff, you could probably buy the same cable that they use on a controller and plug this directly into the NES using, fake cords. So that's super cool. The knobs in the front, I really dig. Again, none of these are stickers. These are all custom bricks. They have a flat panel display. But I'm bearing the lead here. The most important thing is when you rotate this, Mario jumps over everything. And you can angle him in different ways. You can make him more excited. There's little custom blocks in there for, the Starman, the Goomba, the mushroom, everything.
So I'm really excited to see what people do with this, because I feel like it is going to be about 20 minutes from this thing releasing before somebody puts a small LCD screen and a Raspberry Pi in there and just makes a functional Lego NES and TV. And then I feel like other people are going to go in there and be like, hey, guess what? It plays Ninja Gaiden now too.
Yeah,
the screen
and so that's the thing. To make the rotating display in here, I basically had to it's sort of like a treadmill tire, or almost like a like something you would see on like a steamroller. Like it's this giant sort of tractor wheel thing. And so that was the only boring part of the whole build, was you had to basically make like 24 identical lines and then put them on
that's always Lego. Like there's always like some really tedious part of it.
Exactly. And so that being said, that leaves you basically a flat display that you could just cover in pixel art and do anything you want with, which is super cool. I will say the only things I don't like about this kit, and they're sort of insignificant. Number one, the legs don't actually connect to the television, which is weird. I wish there was a way to do that. I think they did that so you can, like, it's easier to pose and like move around and stuff like that. So that's a very small thing. Number two, I would have loved if the clear panel on the clear little block on the front was red rather than clear. Although that's obviously something I can mod in half a second. Because when you were playing the NES and it was on, that was a red light back there. Back then, red meant on and not your battery is dying, which was weird. And so, yeah, that's the Lego NES. It's out August 1st, which is in 2 days. It's $229.99. Like I said, and expensive, but
there's also the regular Lego Mario sets that are coming out very soon, right? And somebody in the chat, Mario Madness, was saying that you can put the Lego Mario on top of it and it'll make noises, or like they.
Yeah. So
what are they making, like Lego Amiibo now?
Essentially, yeah. There's a grid on top of here, and I don't know exactly how they figured out how to do that. But it's force sensitive in some weird way. I haven't messed with those kits yet myself personally, because I wasn't, like you said at the top of the segment, I wasn't super invested in those. I thought they were like kind of ugly, honestly, and I was pretty disappointed when I first found out about the convergence of two of my favorite companies to make those sort of fat little Marios. But now that I've seen what's happened here, I'm all for whatever they do next. So yeah, bring it on.
I hope they do like Lego Zelda, Lego Mario Kart. It would be so easy. I know they have like a Mario Kart license with, I think, Kinects, but it's 2020. Things are bad enough. Like, pack it up, Kinects. Go home.
I had somebody ask if they could see the back of the Mario pixel art piece. So there's the front of it right there, as you can see, and there's the back. It's really just a circle. Oh. And so not a lot going on.
Huh.
But
it's belly button.
It's just a custom piece. This will be one of those things that people will figure out how to bootleg and stuff like that. But yeah, if you have any other questions, let us know. Otherwise, we are going to move on to plenty more toys. As you all know, San Diego Comic-Con just wrapped on Sunday, and this year was weird.
It wasn't in San Diego. It was on the computer. It was from home. There was nothing in like San Diego was like they use that convention center to like do COVID testing now or something. Like,
oh yeah, that's right. And so Max and I were in charge of a lot of collectibles coverage for IGN, and we made a bunch of really cool videos. They're all on IGN's YouTube channel. In case you missed them, we unboxed the musical Mutagen Tour TMNT playset, which is based on the. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
which is based on.
I got Goku. This is from Bluefin sent these over. These were like convention exclusives, and it hit me. I really wish I'd posed this, but you can make it look like Goku shooting Godzilla out of his hand,
awesome.
Like a big Kamehameha wave. But yeah, no, the whole thing is that it's sort of bittersweet about like the way I love Comic-Con or conventions because they show off new collectibles that aren't out yet. Which you can't unbox. They're usually at the actual show. They're behind glass. Like, you know, companies like NECA or Hasbro like show off new toys, and they're always like very delicate prototypes. They're like, don't touch them. So it's really hard for us to actually integrate that into our live show. And like, you know, the way sort of live events coverage work is you want something that's sort of more exciting than that. So we show off figures that, you know, are cool, but like they're already out there. And the thing that I really like as a toy collector is being like, ooh, what am I going to get this fall? Like, what am I going to put on my Christmas list as a giant 8-year-old?
And we noticed that the conversation around collectibles for Comic-Con at home this year was sort of frustrating because there was a ton of cool, convention exclusive stuff, but without an actual convention to visit. All that stuff went online, and you know I'm a big sneakerhead, so I'm used to watching sort of spam bots rush in and buy everything really quickly. So I saw a lot of frustration around the NECA stuff.
I mean, I think this is nothing new. It's just the fact that like it's now shifted to online. Like people have a hard time buying Comic-Con tickets under normal years. Like it's I think that there's just a very confusing supply and demand thing, especially when it comes down to exclusive stuff. But the good news is there's things that are being putting up for pre-order. So without further ado, let's just kind of burn through a bunch of the new toys that are coming out sometime later on. None of these, if you keep track of this stuff, you haven't seen. But if you haven't seen some of them, then cool, surprise, it's a new thing. But this isn't by any means comprehensive. This is just kind of stuff that jumped out at us as things we wanted to talk about. So let's get to it. First things first, I'm excited about this. We have not gotten a movie-themed Deadpool line from Marvel Legends. We got a whole bunch of sort of comic book versions of Deadpool. They're doing a Marvel Legends 2-pack of Deadpool with his unicorn, but also with Negasonic Teenage Warhead. This is up for pre-order. Great. It's coming out this fall. It's going to be everywhere. So if you, I don't know, if you still go to physical stores, it's conceivable you might actually find it there.
I wonder what took them so long to get. I wonder what took them so long to get these toys in there, because it feels like, I mean, you and I were getting Marvel Legends in the mail like every 2 weeks.
I would, if I had to guess, I would say pressure from Disney to focus on the MCU stuff, because Disney owns Marvel officially, but because Fox was still sort of this like kind of black sheep where they had the rights to things, but if like Marvel is under Disney, they were like, no, do Ant-Man figures, do the Wasp, do Avengers, do Endgame, like do that kind of stuff instead of being like, and also the fact that Deadpool 2 was R-rated, that's another issue. And it's a weird, it was a very common in the 80s and 90s to be like, yeah, R-rated movie, sure, action figures, why not? But I feel like that kind of that ship has sailed a little bit. Anyway, let's burn through this. There's also Domino, the Zazie Beetz version. She's got that looks great. Cool Uzis. There's a thing that Hasbro's been doing, which is interesting, where I think they're hesitant to put real guns in with their figures, which I can understand because guns actually do kill people, unlike characters from the comic book universe who don't exist. But it's cool to see they've actually gave her some MAC-10s with knives on them, which makes limited sense. But here we are. Other R-rated movie was, of course, Logan. They're doing a 2-pack of Logan in his, his limousine driver, alcoholic costume, and then Professor X dressing like a 17-year-old stoner. And good old grizzled Patrick Stewart there. There's also Old Man Logan and Hawkeye. This is, I can't remember if this is exclusive. I didn't do enough notes on this, but this is out there.
What's the Baby Yoda in there?
I read this comic a while ago. They have like a baby. They have like a baby Hulk, like a baby Hulkling. That's a weird comic. It's definitely like kind of Dark Knight Returns-ish, but also like I might be misremembering this, but I think the Incredible Hulk and She-Hulk, who are cousins, have kids, and they wind up being these like horrible, like redneck Hulk brothers who decide to like take over the Playboy Mansion, and they're just like these horrible, like creepy, like redneck Hulkmen. Anyway, there's also classic sort of giant size X-Men era Storm and Thunderbird. This is a 2-pack that was, I think, Target exclusive and just sold out stupidly fast because of bots, like we said, which is a bummer, but they'll maybe, break these guys up and sell them in another form later on. We didn't talk about this. We did a video about these earlier, but there's also this 4-pack of the Hellfire Club, who are those weird Victorian perverts. Not Victorian, they're like colonial, but they're these, they're like the secret evil mutants who just love to dress like founding fathers. A lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah, does that come with a painting or is that for reference?
I think that's like a postcard. I think it comes with that, but also it's just I don't know, it looks weird next to them. But yeah, look, Sebastian Shaw's got these weird non-guns, which Marvel Legends figures have come packed with a whole lot, where they're just sort of like these, I don't know, these weird Nerf blaster looking things. But yeah, why not dress up like a dominatrix and/or Ben Franklin? Join the Hellfire Club. They announced this a while ago, a little bit before Comic-Con, but they're doing finally again more sort of Fox X-Men focused stuff. This is for the 20th anniversary of the original X-Men movie. The problem is they've had multiple people playing Professor X and Magneto. Luckily, interchangeable heads, so you can have
that's so smart.
Yeah, you can have the Fassbender McAvoy version, or you can have Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, who, in my opinion, are the superior actors. No disrespect to McAvoy and Fassbender, but
they would agree.
McKellen and Patrick Stewart, they have a head start. They've been doing it for like 50 years longer.
Both of those men would agree with that 100%. This is a brilliant idea for collectors. I think that's so smart to have multiple. I want a James Bond action figure that just comes with like 7 heads.
That's a really interesting idea. You make the George Lazenby one, like the Chase variant that nobody wants. And then, of course, they're also doing good old sort of, non-costumed Weapon X or Logan, Wolverine, whatever, and then Mystique. Man, I love these movies for what they were, because they definitely did kind of kickstart superhero movies. But I wish so much we'd gotten Wolverine in a costume, and also like Mystique was cool, but like she has one of the coolest outfits in X-Men. She just wears a toga with a skull belt, and they were like, "Nah, just make her like a naked lizard woman," and she's got like this random human arm to be like, "Oh, she shapeshifts." But that's.
I feel like you and I are in the minority on this, but like I do think that these movies will be looked upon in sort of isolation. Like they will be as people who grew up like reading Marvel comics, X-Men comics specifically. I don't feel like they did these things justice, but they did exist in their own world.
No, they should have rebooted them with First Class. Like they should have started fresh instead of being like, "Hey, remember X-Men 3?" And it's like, no, trying real hard not to. Just leave it alone.
I do think that we will eventually get. Actually, and I know for sure we'll eventually get the sort of like Marvel Comics 90s X-Men of our dreams in the MCU.
Oh, we will. Yeah, and I'm going to lose my mind. I'm excited. Anyway, switching gears, what Hasbro is doing with Star Wars, the Black Series continues, making more 6-inch figures that you can sometimes find in stores, but other times you have to pay way too much for on eBay. This is a weird one. This is Return of the Jedi 4.5 pack. I forget, but it's this weird shaped box, which makes no sense if you look at it. And inside it's got Luke and Leia in their indoor fatigues. And then it's got, well, also it's the same Luke, but it's also got Han. Everyone was mad because they didn't think he came with the trench coat. He does. It just comes tucked up in a little tiny bag in the corner. And then most importantly, it comes with Paplu, the Ewok, and a speeder bike.
Yeah, so a couple of notes on this, because this is a weird kit. First of all, Return of the Jedi, I've mentioned this before, my favorite Star Wars movie of all time. I'm all for celebrating it whenever we can. I collect the 6-inch scale Black Series Star Wars figures, so anything cool that they throw on that line, especially like creatures and aliens, all in. This was supposed to be the year to celebrate Empire Strikes Back. In fact, that's what Hasbro spent most of the top half of the year doing. So this is a weird time for this one. Secondly, we have now gotten 2 Ewoks in this scale. One of them is basically this like huge $100-something box exclusive, because they haven't broken these figures out. But none of them are Wicket.
We've talked about this way too much on this terrible show that we have,
and we will continue to. I will start a petition. I don't care.
I don't get it. I really don't get it. Maybe they're saving up for later, but you think that like Ewoks, you could also recycle so much of that body part because it's just fur painted different colors.
Well, I love that speeder bike. I don't know if that's like a slightly remodel from the one they put out with the Scout Trooper a couple years ago, but it does come with that weird like sort of cloud stand on the bottom. You and I both have that Scout Trooper speeder bike.
That's a good speeder bike. That's a good one.
That's a great toy set if you can hunt it down. And I love the Endor costumes on Leia and Luke, so I'm all for that.
Also, you're happy about this? They're making the Wampa.
Yes, yeah. This is they made a Wampa a while back, and this is basically a redesign of him. And the original one came with the Hoth Luke, who in the packaging it was super cool. He was upside down, and the Wampa wasn't.
Was that a Comic-Con exclusive back in the day?
I believe so. It's definitely slightly harder to track down.
This whole series is hard to collect. Like it's difficult to track down all the pieces, and it's like
it's kind of like Marvel Legends, and like I really want that Silver Surfer, but he was like a Walmart exclusive or Walgreens exclusive or some crap.
Marvel Legends has always been like that, though. It sucks.
Yeah, and so the original Wampa had blood coming down his face, and this one doesn't. And
so this is the censored version. This is like the
all right. But he also comes in his own kit, and you and I both bought the Probe Droid recently, which is a great toy. So,
that's a good toy. That's a good toy. I like that toy a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's burn through these. They also have some 4-inch figures. There's a few of them that got announced, but if you're a fan of Clone Wars era stuff, this is a 3-pack of ARC Troopers, who are of course little tiny guys. That's them. There they are. Shifting gears, jumping from sort of Marvel, Star Wars to DC. Our pals at McFarlane also unveiled a bunch of new DC multiverse stuff. They this line just launched. Like they just started putting these out earlier this year, I think. This has been a weird year. Unless I'm misremembering. Right. But like this hasn't been going that long, and they're just kind of chipping away at it. And it's like it's gotta be kind of crazy to be a reputable and long-running toy company and to be like, hey, you have the license for literally all of DC. Go nuts. Like, where do you start? So they're kind of jumping around. They're doing a lot of newer comic stuff. I think the big takeaways here are there's like Flashpoint, Batman. There's a lot of things. They're doing a Build-A-Figure now.
Are they already doing that? They're already doing that demonic Robin guy?
Yeah, they're doing those. I should have taken more notes here, but there's just a lot. There's a lot going on.
So I really like in the next slide. I really like that cyborg figure, and I've never really cared about that design, but like that's a really cool toy.
I'm pretty happy that they're like. I mean, that's the thing is there's so many different styles of DC stuff, different eras. Like they've done. There's current comics, there's like movies, there's, different cartoons. They've done some animated series stuff. They already did a Justice League Green Lantern, but they haven't done any other, or like, Justice League animated series, but they haven't done any other like animated Justice League figures yet. And presumably they will, but it's like, they got time. It's good to see some Teen Titans in there.
That is a 90s ass action figure. Whoa, right. What is happening? Oh, the Doomslayer.
So they also are doing a Doomicorn Doomslayer variant, which looks like a crazy custom, and I'm into it. But while we're still on DC, they're doing a Arkham Knight variant of Batman and God, what's his name? Deadshot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a week, folks.
I mean, I get it. I get Deadpool, Deadshot, Bloodshot, Deathlock. There's too many names, man. Anyway, Bullseye. So anyway, that's McFarlane. On the Mezco side of things, they've been doing a lot of cool stuff. So Mezco does they do a line of 5-inch figures called 5 Points, which I feel like most of the companies doing sort of 5-point figures. You see like Super 7 does their sort of retro Kenner styled action figures, which are done in like a very retro, like old school aesthetic. Deathstroke. Is it Deathstroke? What did I say? Deadshot?
Yeah, Bloodshot.
Hold on, wait. God damn it. This guy, who is this? I'm Micah in the comments. I should have taken more notes. IGN. No, IGN is a company with hundreds of employees. I'm one man on a Thursday evening. Go to hell, Micah. Good Lord. Anyway, the guy who Will Smith played. No, was that Deadshot? Deathstroke is Slade Wilson, who inspired Deadpool, and he almost got played by Joe Manganiello when he showed up at the end of Suicide Squad or on a boat or something.
No, that was Bloodstroke.
I'm gonna have a Bloodstroke. Who's that other guy? David Aneurysm? I don't know.
Can we talk about Bluto? Because he looks like my dad.
We can talk about Bluto. So didn't you give your dad a Mezco Bluto action figure a million years ago?
I did, yeah. It's still in the package. It's super weird that my dad has one action figure in the package, and it's Bluto from Popeye. And he's never opened it. He's never taken it out. It's never even occurred to him that like there's a toy in there. He was just like, "Oh, thank you." That was like his birthday one year. Like he probably turned like 45 or something like that.
And you're like, my dad would love a Mezco action figure of Bluto.
We're like, this dude looks like you when you're angry.
Dude, that was early Mezco. They got the Popeye license. Like I love that like early Mezco was like, what do you have the license for? They're like, Miami Vice, the Warriors, Popeye, Nosferatu, and it's like, yeah, all right, you got the Goonies maybe, but yeah, like they made these really super articulated figures for like Popeye and Bluto.
Yep.
I kind of wish we'd get those again, but these are cool too. I like Popeye.
Is that Blimpy with his frying pan?
It's Wimpy, but I didn't know he cooked hamburgers. I thought he just ate them. Who the hell is that? Wimpy. Pretty sure it's Zippy the clown. I don't know. And then on the other side of things, you got these monsters who are just. I love that they're like.
They're really good. That's like that Swamp Man thing, whatever the hell that is.
Yeah, no, they're universal. They're universally recognized monsters. They're not universal monsters, but you know, you've got a mummy and Frankenstein's monster and the vampire named Dracula.
Mezco these presents are cool. Royalty-free high-definition clip art.
I'm super into it. I love it.
They're awesome though. You know what? They remind me of like high-res glow-ups of like the old Ghostbusters action figure villains. Like they had mummies and vampires in that line that were totally
I want more of that.
Non-denominational.
I like good just generic monster figures. Here's a weird one. They're doing a 1/12 action figure of Frank Frazetta's Death Dealer, who is like an iconic fantasy painting from Frank Frazetta, but now he's in action. I'm kind of like, I've been waiting to kind of jump on a 1/12 collective figure because they're expensive, but they're like always, like they're always characters who are part of a universe. And I'm like, I always, I have Marvel Legends, I have like other figures in whatever line. And like, this is such a weird standalone sort of like, out of the blue character that I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll get a Death Dealer. Why not? And then they're also doing this, artist series Alien, which is just sort of like a weird, super deformed eager alien because there aren't enough alien figures out there.
I dig that.
Now let's get down to business here. Okay, so NECA, who's been doing Ninja Turtles figures of all sorts of shapes and sizes, we had a long conversation about this, and I think there's some confusion because they've been doing classic 90s Ninja Turtles figures that are based on their appearances in the cartoon, which a lot of people are like weirdly torn on because their nostalgia is for the action figures that happen to be of characters who were later put in the cartoon but had different versions in toy form. And so we looked at this and we're like, Mondo Gecko didn't look like that.
Yeah, and when Max says we had conversations about this, he means this is the kind of crap that he and I text each other at like 5:30 in the morning. Like when we're both can't sleep and we're just texting each other pictures of Ninja Turtle toys. And to kind of build on that, the original Krang body figure was actually kind of rare and kind of hard to come by. Also a little expensive for a kid trying to buy like a junky $5 action figure.
It weighed like 14 pounds though, so you got your money's worth.
Whereas Mondo Gecko is a cool as hell toy, came with a skateboard and everything like that. And
I think I have one. Oh yeah, I have one over here. Hold on.
Yeah, so you probably remember his toy more than you remember his cartoon appearance because he didn't really show up on the show a ton of times, but the toy you had forever. So when NECA decided to make toys based on the sort of original animated series appearance, it threw some people for a loop because we're more used to seeing the toys in longevity than we are Mondo Gecko on the show. But this
I got the toy here. He looks horrible because I've been like in the process of repainting him. Because I've been repainting some figures. Just there we go. Huh?
Is that mine?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna finish painting it. You saw the Rappin' Mike, right?
Yeah, he's great. Where is he?
Yeah, I'll get the Rappin' Mike. Hold on.
Keep stealing my toys and painting them, but that you don't give them back. This is a weird.
What do you want me to do? Go to work?
No. God, that's
cover my face. Don't show me. Hide the.
Pull it back a little bit. People got to see this. This is amazing. Oh my God. Yeah, I need that. That's going up on a shelf in my home. It's going in the bedroom. It's not going to fetch. Yeah, NEC is making a whole line and have been making a whole line of TMNT action figures that are based on their animated appearances, and I really dig them because they're not like cell shaded per se, but they are.
They're cartoony.
Yeah, they have this soft sort of like hand-drawn look to them, which I really love.
They also announced, I didn't get images of them, they also announced the Rat King, which we talk about like a lot. We love the Rat King here at Up at Noon.
We do. Yeah, big fans. Number one Rat King fan show.
And then, of course, Muckman and then Joe Eyeball, who they come back together. And like, I'll be honest, I remember like the Muckman action figure really well. I have not even the faintest memory of what he did on the cartoon.
No, me neither.
Like he was a Muckman, but you know.
Quick shout out to Zach Ryan in the YouTube chat, also throwing elbows at dudes who are saying nasty, gnarly stuff. Cowabunga.
Yeah, heroes in a half shell.
I love it. I love this Muckman.
I think I need to start collecting Garbage Boys because, like, I really love like. There's Muckman. There's the Heap from Spawn. There's also who's the other Garbage Boy? There's Garbodor from Pokemon. Like there's a surprising amount of characters who are just piles of garbage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I want them.
I mean, I guess kind of the toxic Avenger Crusader.
He's a toxic. Yeah, he's sort of like, yeah, but then you get in that weird territory where there's also like that when Clarence Bodiger gets covered in slime and or not Clarence Bodiger. There's like the toxic waste guy from RoboCop. You know? Who looks like he's made of slime, but anyway, let's move on. They're also doing these guys, the Toonie Terrors.
I keep meaning to buy the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Leatherface from this line. I'm not like super crazy about their articulation because they went way more overboard with like style, but that Scream dude looks great. That's a Scooby-Doo-esque.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I'm like, they did a Nosferatu that I want. I feel like there's this sort of same group of horror icons that get like licensed out the most, and I'm always like keeping an eye out for weirder ones. So they've got the Creep from Creepshow here, which is cool. I'm trying to think what would actually really get me excited about. This is apparently Series 5 already. Like they've been doing this for a cool minute. Crap. Yeah, I want an Alien and a Predator like this. I want like a proper.
Yeah.
They did like a Neomorph that was kind of in a retro style, but like not. Give me like a cartoon Alien. I want that. That sounds like a cool toy.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of weird, just really weird stuff. They're making these. These are from Iron Studios.
This is Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerberg's snowboarding. This
is so good. These are statues. They're Sideshow is going to be distributing them, but they're from Iron Studios. I think I want to say they're 1/10 scale. Iron Studios usually does 1/10, but yeah, you've got Cesar Romero as the Joker with his shorts on over his pants, and then Adam West as the Batman with his shark repellent. So that's a good thing.
Which, dude, like we all went to go see the Joaquin Phoenix Joker, won a bunch of awards. I did a whole thing, and you helped me out with it about how that didn't really get much merchandise. But then going back to the Cesar Romero Joker, that didn't either. And so I'm really happy that they're like resurrecting that and going back to this era because that's such a cool era for Joker. Yeah, I almost said it. That's such a cool era for Joker, especially like this, like seeing it like this gritty, realistic style, but also like.
I want that as a costume. Like, I just love that it looks like frat boy Batman. Like, if you're not paying too much attention to the surfboard or like the shark repellent not being a can of Coors Light, like he just looks like he's at a party.
It's so good.
But back to the cool stuff for real hardcore dude collectors. Hot Toys is doing a Cable from Deadpool 2, which is like just awesome. We talked about this before we did a thing on the live show about like just how like we saw some Deadpool 2 stuff. We're like, damn, I want to watch Deadpool 2 again. And like this made me. I just was like, oh right, they managed to pull off Cable, one of the most complicated, convoluted X-Men characters, and they were just like, how does Cable work? He shows up. That's it. He just shows up and he's Cable.
I'm so happy about I really need to watch that movie again because the fact that like the entire MCU, the debate was always like Marvel has a villain problem, and they're like, well, Thanos is here as the ultimate villain, and Deadpool 2 was like, our villain is a pervert schoolmaster. It was like, yeah. You guys don't give an F.
But also, they were like, you know what, people will do the legwork to find out what characters are all about if they really want to learn about, what is it, Nathan Grayson Summers Ascanison Cable or whatever X-Man. Like, just if they want to dig through that weird convoluted backstory of this character, they can do that. But in the meantime, it's just kind of like, hey, he's this badass dude from the future who's got crazy powers and like a robot arm and it kicks ass. And like, yeah, they just had so much fun with that. So that's good. In other news, Hot Toys is doing an Anakin, and there's also an Obi-Wan figure in Clone Wars armor, which is really cool to see because it kind of makes you think like, oh, what would Clone Wars the animated series look like if it was live action? Well, here you go.
Yeah, they're doing the Anakin Skywalker and Stop, which is the opposite of Netflix and Chill. I hate that joke. I'm sorry.
Stab. The Stab was the first episode 1 vehicle released.
Yeah.
They did that sneak preview with the little Dave Chang painting and like the battle droid on it.
Yeah.
You click the base. That was a good toy.
Jeremy Cartwright in the YouTube chat says these are all Hot Toys. Yes, they are. 303 Cerebral says stab. I love that. These are Hot Toys. And here's the thing.
It's short for Single Trooper Aerial Platform, but we also want to make fun of it.
Hot Toys, yes, they're $300 usually. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more.
This is definitely a little more because it's a vehicle.
Because it's a vehicle. But you and I have both spent like $70, $80 on, 6-inch scale action figures and not really blinked about it. But I think at this scale, at this quality, with all the accessories and the build and everything, like it's different more, but it's a
different mentality to collecting. Like I did a video at New York Comic Con last year where it was like these like $2,000 Batman statues that only billionaire orphans can afford, and like all these people in the comments were like, "I'm not a billionaire orphan. You just get a payment plan, you idiot. Like if you really want the statue, you pay like $50 a month, and then you get the statue and it's yours." And like I was trying to make a Batman joke. I wasn't trying to be serious about it, but if you want to be really weird about it, then fine. And people are like, I have $2,000. My PC was $2,000. Adults can afford that kind of thing. And I was like, good Lord, like just let me see. $2,000 for a Batman statue is expensive. All right.
Yeah. That's
$70 for an action figure is nonsense.
I agree.
It's also that's like the price of like not even a fancy dinner. That's like anyway. It's all look. I'm
gonna let you in on a little secret. 2020 fancy dinners don't exist anymore. So buy statues, buy hot toys, buy action figures, go bonkers.
Yeah, go bonkers. So I had a weird piece of trivia I wanted to talk about. I learned this morning, but I guess they put out like this 40th anniversary. No, not 40th. This 35th anniversary Back to the Future Blu-ray thing or whatever, and they're promoting it. I don't know. I got some of the gist of it, but what's his name? John Cryer, who was the actor from Pretty in Pink, who he auditioned to play Marty McFly, and he jumped in on this like weird Twitter thread. Ben Stiller apparently also almost played Marty McFly, and he on this Twitter thread was basically right, like, and Ben Stiller was like, oh God, I sort of remember auditioning. John Cryer was like, here's some stuff I remember from the script they had me reading from, which is very different from the final movie. And he went into this whole story about how like, and there's a whole Twitter thread about this, but basically this blew my mind. This is my favorite movie trivia ever. A lot of people know this. The initial versions of the script, the time machine was not a DeLorean. It was just a time machine or a car or something. But in one version, the sort of climactic lightning scene where they had to go and electrocute the car to make the time machine go 88 miles an hour and go back in time or whatever. Instead of that, it involved a can of Coca-Cola or a bottle of Coca-Cola, which needed to be irradiated. And that required going to a nuclear test site. So Marty McFly, in the final climactic stage of this movie, goes to one of those like weird 1950s nuke towns and decides that he's going to like, I guess, put Coca-Cola out to survive a nuclear blast and put it in the time machine and then travel back in time to replace the uranium from the beginning of the movie, or the plutonium or whatever. It gets weirder. Crap. And so then he's like, he spills the Coke and it's this whole problem. He's like, oh no. The whole thing was also like weirdly over the top product placement because this was hot on the tail of E.T. the Extraterrestrial, which made Reese's Pieces money. So they were like, yeah, Coca-Cola, why not? That existed in the 50s. Let's play with that. And you kind of had that with like Marty McFly being like, let me get a tab. It's like, you got to buy something first. Let me get a Pepsi free. You got to pay for it. So he's in this like weird nuclear test town, and the bomb's about to go off, and he's like, "What do I do?" And so he hides in a lead-lined 1950s refrigerator, and then survives the blast. And like, of course, that version of the movie never happened. However, that entire scene wound up in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull,
which everyone hated, by the way.
Which was Steven Spielberg. I guess directed that or produced it, but it was like totally like Spielberg was like, I worked on this. Let's put it over here. Love that fridge idea. Got to use that nuke and fridge.
Also, not only did Marty McFly not really go with that Coca-Cola thing, but famously, Pepsi was the sponsor in Back to the Future Part 2, and they made those like really long.
Yeah, Pepsi Perfect.
Yeah, Pepsi Perfect, which I drank. They recreated at Comic-Con. And I drank, they made like a limited run of them. And I shot a video with Andrew Goldfarb a couple years ago at New York Comic Con where I drank one on camera. And I was like, tastes like a Pepsi. Thanks for watching. And people were like, you drank collector's item. And I was like, yeah, okay. So yeah, we got to a point where Pepsi took over and people got mad if you drank it.
The other weird one was apparently there was a scene early on where it opened where like you first saw Marty McFly and he was like playing his guitar and he was playing the alien notes from Close Encounters of the Third Kind as he was pirating a VHS copy of Close Encounters. So like that was like a really weird, like I guess there was a lot of weird like Spielberg, nods in that, but.
Zach Ryan in the YouTube comments says, yeah, some dude yelled at you while you were filming it, Brian. Yeah, Zach was there in New York Comic Con at that shoot. And yes, somebody in the crowd was like, don't drink the collector's. I was like, it's soda. I'm also like, I drink maybe like 2 sodas a year top, like maybe not even, honestly. And so it was even funnier for me to just roll through and be like, yeah, sure. Who cares?
I think they should release, if we're like in this alternate timeline. I think we kind of got like the Back to the Future 2 bad timeline. Maybe actually definitely worse. We don't have hoverboards. We do. They suck. They start fires on airplanes. But we do also have a pandemic. But Biff is definitely president. But what if instead of having Pepsi Perfect, we had like Pepsi Okay? So when they're like, is Pepsi okay? And you're like, Pepsi okay. And it's just the put a little bow on that.
I actually like that a lot.
Yeah. Pepsi, it's fine. I don't know.
Yeah, if you're watching in the YouTube chat or Twitch, thanks for joining us. We're hanging out. We wound down from Comic-Con and kind of rolled into the rest of the nonsense this week. So thank you for bearing with us. Yeah. Cozy Bear on YouTube says, hey, Brian, what are your thoughts on the hit 1985 movie, The Peanut Butter Solution? So that movie was a fever dream to me. I haven't seen it in a very long time. It definitely was not a hit.
I have no idea what that movie's about.
I think I tried to explain it to you. It's like a kid who like either loses his hair and puts peanut butter in his hair and it like grows or something. I don't even really remember a lot of it. And so
I get it mixed up with How to Eat Fried Worms and the Peanut Butter Falcon, which is about a wrestler with Down syndrome. So I don't know what the Peanut Butter Solution also sounds like weirdly like minute. Like it sounds kind of like, the final solution. Like it's very like threatening.
Okay.
Like I don't see that as being like, oh, let's just have a peanut butter. That'll be a solution to our, like, what is,
Honest Abe
what the hell is that movie about?
Honest Abe says, what about The Iron Giant? Way more recognizable film. I really wanted to buy that Mondo was doing that like amazing action figure for Iron Giant, which I believe they put out. But it was just stupidly expensive. But one day,
Iron Giant is a good ass movie.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good film.
Polite Chunky says, "What's your opinion, Kailu?" I don't know if he's asking if he's calling you Kailu, but yeah, so you've got a small child. Has that child been exposed to Kailu yet?
No, but people call me Kailu because I look like that dude. Because we're both bald, and I guess he does.
Can you cosplay as Kailu for Halloween?
I'll be Kylo Ren.
Can you just put on that? What is he wears like a neckerchief and like a yellow shirt or something?
Yeah, I don't know what that. I literally, if you put a gun in my mouth and said describe his characteristics, I
Have
could
you
not
no?
tell you.
Do you not know about this? People
No.
hate Kylo.
Good.
It's all parents. That's the best part about it, because all these parents get stuck watching this awful kid, like their kids put on, and they're just like, ugh. And so they go on Reddit. There's a whole subreddit called like Kylo hate, where it's just these people being like, just basically smearing this poor, like, hairless Canadian child or whatever.
I'm all for that. I'm not really at the point. I'm getting to it where I want to connect with other parents and shame the garbage that our children watch. But yeah,
What's up with Paw Patrol? I feel like everyone's pretty like, that was for a minute. You're like, yeah, it's the animal cops. That's fine. And then we're like, ooh, maybe they are cops. I don't know if I support this. Maybe the Paw Patrol should.
I'll tell you what. While you're asking me, I do not support Paw Patrol because I think it's ugly as hell. Like
I like it because I look like that main dude in that show.
You think you look like a child dog cop?
There's that little boy in that show who just, like, when I used to do my hair up in the front, like, it looks exactly like me.
Oh, no, you look like divorced Jimmy Neutron. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that too. Now, Jimmy Neutron, that's an ugly ass show. That's a horrendous thing to look at. I always hated that show.
It's okay to love a thing that's ugly as hell. I mean, we had Reboot growing up. Like, that's a hideous show. I knew that day one. I was like, this is a hideous show. And I
always hated Jimmy Neutron because I was like, this is like a bad Dexter's Lab. Like, this is and like sometimes the thing that's the follow up, not necessarily the ripoff, but like, here's a similar idea that's clearly riding on the coattails. Like, I will say this: Digimon is a better show than Pokemon. Like, that is a more well thought out universe that does more interesting things. But Pokemon will always be the one that came first, and everyone was always like, Pokemon #1. Hello. Dexter's Lab is a flawless cartoon. That's a phenomenal show. Jimmy Neutron can just go straight to hell as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that. But no, I don't have any specific beef with Paw Patrol other than it's ugly as sin. So I won't be.
Fair enough.
Dennis Lishkin says, "Bring back Hey Arnold." They really should. Did they ever? They did some fast forward stuff on that, right? Like, did they ever? They did like the adult versions every now and then. Because I know they did it with Rugrats, where like they would check in on people.
I mean, they did Rugrats all grown up. I don't know with Hey Arnold. I think they did like, I want to say they did like some weird like Lisa's Wedding episodes of The Simpsons, where it was like a fast forward where like Helga's a CEO and Arnold is like imagining what had grown up. I don't know. That whole show was about depression though, which I appreciated.
I don't want to like throw elbows here, but I just had to put a user in timeout on YouTube for like a reason that like honestly breaks my heart, because it's a good question. He just asked it 300 times. He said that WWE should do a partnership with Wacky Packages. He's right. They? He's right. But sometimes you're right, but you say it too much and then you got to shut up.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, like
too many times.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They've done like WWE does a lot of weird partnerships. I want to throw the picture on the list of the toys. Xavier Woods has a new one coming out where it's like he's had a few of those. Xavier's like a friend of ours. He's been on the show a couple times. I've worked with him for like I moderated a contest at TwitchCon where he played Cuphead against CeeLo because what is life? But the new figure has like an alternate head where he's wearing the Stevie Wonder 4th of July album cover wig with like the blonde like
so cool
braids. And he's got like a neon pink or like neon turquoise trombone. And I'm just like, this is a good action figure. Like, I don't like wrestling and I'm biased because I know that man, but like, that's a good toy. It's got like weird accessories. I'm into it.
I think it's cool to buy an action figure of your friend, you know?
Yeah.
If you had an action figure, I'd buy an action figure of you. Even if it was a bad toy, I would still do it. Unless it was one of those like YouTube influencer, like bootleg Funko Pop things they had for a minute. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, if they were like, you can have a Funko Pop, I'd be like, I don't want that.
303 Cerebral on YouTube says, is Rugrats really for kids? Yes, stylistically, no, thematically. Yeah.
The first season is totally made for parents. Like, that was entirely.
Yeah. I mean, as like a, scruffy drunkard who went to art school, I connected deeply with Stu Pickles, like watching that dude basically hobble in like a, night suit or whatever. Like,
I mean, the whole like the hero of that show is Tommy because it's told from the perspective of like Stu Pickles is a toy designer, which is kind of like a weird parallel for an animator. So presumably, like, oh, he's got this job that no one takes seriously. He does things that are just for kids, but he's like, yeah, my kid is pretty cool. My kid is the hero, I imagine, of his baby circle of friends. But then he's like, he basically just, he's like, oh yeah, my brother-in-law is a rich asshole. I bet his daughter's like a huge brat, and Angelica is, but also like, presumably, like as an adult, you wouldn't be privy to all that interaction.
Yep. Yep. Dark Templar says, did Brian ever watch Cowboy Bebop? Not yet. The DVDs are sitting right here. I'll let you guys in on a little secret. I'm one of the busiest people in my industry, but I'm also one of the laziest people on earth. And the sheer thought of taking out a disc and putting it into a thing that plays discs rather than playing a button or pushing a button on a streaming service is all the pushback it takes for me to not watch something that I know I will.
That's totally fair. Hold on.
Isn't that stupid though? That's so stupid. That's such a stupid trait. Like I feel like I'm totally gonna connect with this thing.
I think it's on Hulu. There.
Really?
Maybe with some nonsense add-on.
No, you gave me you handed me a box set to watch, and I'm going to watch Netflix. Yeah, Rocky the Dog says, Jesus, Brian, get on that. You won't regret it. Max spent years trying to twist my arm on Evangelion, and I loved it. Like, loved every second of it. Even down to, like, the parts that people hated. I was like, I'm in, because I love seeing... I love the stories of when productions fall apart. I made a whole album about it. Like, I'm into it. And so, I'm waiting for the right moment, and I'm going to dive into Cowboy Bebop. Binge it for sure. I've been on, like, a major movie kick this year. I'm on Letterboxd. If you want to add me there, I think I've watched like 95 movies this year. Trying to see how many I can go through, but yeah,
I've read a ton of books. I haven't watched that many movies when I stop and think about it.
Yeah, I think we kind of like ebb and flow with our sort of like quarantine media consumptions. I was on a big kick where I didn't want to watch anything for a very long time. Just wanted to play games, and then I got a little burned out on that, and then just like basically only read like Junji Ito books for like 4 months, and now I've just been on a movie kick. So, but mostly horror, tons and tons of horror.
Yeah, I'm reading old bad X-Men comics from the 90s, and that had definitely some, like, there's good runs in there, but there's also some like weird standalone issues that were way too horny, and that's not great to reread. Yeah, we should probably wrap things up on that note.
We should wrap things up. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Up at Noon. We try to keep things chill this week because it's been a lot, but we have tons and tons of things still publishing all over the place. Max and I just put up a brand new episode of Podcast Beyond 2 days ago, yesterday. Today, we just put up a brand new episode of Nintendo Voice Chat, which we were on. Terry Shorts and I did a 4.5-hour celebrity Animal Crossing charity live stream today. We'll be breaking out a bunch of those clips. I got to go to Alex Garland's Animal Crossing Island. Like, I stop every now and then and go like, oh yeah, I'm busy, but this is good stuff. And then we have a full sort of like unboxing time lapse build of the Lego NES, probably going up tomorrow morning. So yeah, lots of stuff.
Good. Yeah.
Max, is anything else this week that you probably worked on?
I do this show every month that's called like this month's biggest games, like August. I have one August biggest games, and it's one of those like totally like, it's like a very unassuming generic title for a video, but I put a little oomph into it, or I just assumed that no one was watching it, so I just started goofing around. And either way, that's a thing you can keep an eye out for. So go watch those. They're things I write about the games coming out. You might learn something. There might be a game you didn't know was coming out.
Dude, there's constantly games I didn't know were coming out, and then people were like, "This is a great game," and I'm like, "I don't even know this is a thing. I have to play it now." People are asking for my Letterboxd. It's Brian_Altano, because I try to keep things as confusing as possible in terms of parallels across social media, and also because they didn't allow spaces or some nonsense. But go check me out there. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back next week, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, we're doing this. I think we're doing this on Thursdays now, so that we can spend Fridays like taking out little clips and trying to publish the videos or whatever.
Get more eyes on the show. This is a highlight for us every single week, so thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Alexio in the back end, hitting switches and knobs and dials, making sure everything works. Thank you to all of our friends on YouTube and Twitch and IGN who watched along with us, especially Zach Ryan, who was in there. We love you, man. And to all of us, or from all of us here at IGN, we will see you in a week on Up at Noon, but probably, in 5 minutes on 100 other pieces of content. So
good night, everyone.
Good night.
Have a great Friday or weekend or whatever. The end.
And happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
If that's what it is for you. If not, that's yours for free. Save it. Eat cake.